Hi there, Carrie here. I wanted to talk about a bit of a misconception that probably a lot of you have because, I've been working with students since January of 2019 as a new therapist. And at that time, because I was trying to get my designation as a clinical hypnotherapist, that took 2 years of working with clients, 450 practice hours, and then submitting an eligibility and going through the process of becoming clinical. And I thought, I don't need to wear a white jacket and run around. I got a great job. What do I need to be a clinical hypnotherapist for? But it was the thought that occurred to me of working with students for free at that time in exchange for me getting my 450 hours. It seemed like a really win-win. And we had some amazing episodes during some of the testing in California. I remember one quarter where I worked in a group with 14 students and 12 of them passed. And I don't want to say that was because of me, but I offered a lot. And the ones that did the work, that believed it was possible, that tried thinking in a different way, that tried resting after pushing really hard, all the things that I offered in that course, they passed. And the two that didn't, no blame, no judgment, but I knew I knew ahead of time that unless something really deeply changed in them, um, they weren't they weren't buying completely. They wanted it, but they weren't buying completely into the possibility that this could happen for me. And of course, nothing would have been made me happier than to get 14 out of 14 passes. So I digress. What has happened since then is that I started the Magic for Court Reporters group. It wasn't always called that. And I kept it at about 100 members for a long time. In that 100, I actually could get to where I knew who was in that group and I knew who needed what. And by watching their posts come up in other groups, I knew the struggles they were having and I could focus my attention in posts, and sometimes on one-on-one, just hitting somebody a message. I could focus the attention easier. And then there came a moment when I started not just working with exit speed and people who were trying to pass a certification, but I dropped it down into let's get you out of 180, 200s, and out of school, and then passing your test. And then there was a moment where I realized that, oh my gosh, there's so many of these concepts that are just foundational. And once they click, everything clicks. What if when you're just beginning school, you got those concepts? And so I started opening it up to theory students and entry level speed building students. That was great. Unless you look at the statistics, because when I'm working with somebody who's 180, 200s, they're the 10% that are going to make it. I mean, it's a matter of don't you dare quit. I know however long it's going to take you to get past you, to learn the lessons that you came here to learn, to get past what's holding you back, to truly see the filter that is false, that's holding you back. 10% of those people are going to make it. They're of everybody who's ever started, that's the top 10%. That's the cream of the crop. And it's a done deal if you don't give up on you. But I wasn't looking at those statistics. And as I'm working with theory people in 40, 60, 80, 100, I forgot that out of all of them, 90% are going to quit. They just are. This isn't for everybody. And so there was a moment where I felt like I'm not being effective. It's all about me. I don't know what to give them to help them. 90% of them aren't getting it. Duh, Carrie. 90% of them aren't going to make it past 100 or 120. And there's probably a sliding scale there, that the higher up the speeds you go, the less dropping out we have, and the more people committed. I always thought of somewhere around 160. If you've made it to 160, then it's all in your court. It's you are deciding, I want to do this, or man, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and maybe this isn't for me. And that's okay. This is your life. This is your path and your journey. And court reporting school shouldn't define who you are as a person. It should be a path and an avenue and a journey that exposes you to challenges and triumphs and situations and disappointments that regular life wouldn't give you in this condensed a period of time. It will forge you into a newer version of you, somebody that you never imagined was in there, which is amazing. So that's kind of giving you a little bit of background, but let me tell you what I see happening lately, because there are a lot of you out here who hear, oh my gosh, so-and-so worked with Carrie and she passed. Well, maybe she would have passed anyway. Who knows? But yeah, there are a lot of those out there, and I celebrate every single one of them. It's like I do have a personal investment in you passing, because I love this profession. And I'm just checking on my job for today. I love this profession, and I want it to continue on past me, past the people who love it as much as I do, that we've got to pass that baton on to the next generation and know that it's in good hands. So a lot of the people who hit me up for, and I ask for them too, but hit me up for strategy calls, I think maybe come with a different expectation than what is being offered. Because back in the olden days, I didn't do, back in 2019, I didn't do strategy calls. I did, hey, tell me what's holding you back. Can you block off 2 hours on Saturday? Let's do a session. And they're in the group and they're listening to the rest of the stuff afterwards. They're feeling that breakthrough and that transformation. And then they're listening to a 21 at minimum day hypnosis recording that is personalized to them, and just only focusing on getting them more of what they want and letting go of the things that aren't helping them any longer. To see, instead of, oh, I hesitate all the time, I drop all the time. That's negative talk. But in hypnosis and neuroscience, it's not just negative talk. It's a type of talk that your subconscious will not hear correctly. And so when somebody tells me, I don't want to hesitate, I can't tell your subconscious, okay, you're not going to hesitate anymore, because it doesn't hear the verb. It hears the subject. It hears hesitate. It does not hear the word don't. In order to remove something, your subconscious has to see it and identify it first. Once it does that, it's off and running. It doesn't understand, don't think about the pink elephant with the little purple tutu. Well, immediately your brain conjures an image of a pink elephant with a little purple tutu. Why? Because it can't not think of it if it doesn't think of it. It's got to think of it and then not think of it. And once it's thought of it, it's locked on. So when I'm talking to your subconscious, I've got to say, you write flawlessly, effortlessly, quickly, you respond instantaneously. And there is that flow of being on top of every single word. Well, what is that? That's not hesitating. But it's crafted in a way to reframe that whole thought pattern so that your subconscious knows what it's supposed to do instead of what it's not supposed to do. I don't want to fail the next test. Same thing. I'm afraid I'm going to fail the next test. Same thing. What if I don't pass the next test? Same thing. Those are the thoughts, and we do them automatically. I did them most of my life. I'm going to get the job at the bad attorneys. How come she gets 6 copies and I don't? How come I got a workers' comp case that's 30 pages and she just kicked out 250 with 6 attorneys? I'm pissed. I'm a victim. I'm mad. I'm not getting what I deserve. Same thought pattern that you guys are in when you're angry about not passing, when you're frustrated about not passing, when you're in that place where you're not passing. I shared that with you. Strategy calls. The way I've been doing strategy calls for about 2 years now is that I work with somebody, and it's basically conversational hypnosis. It's me and you in a setting alone, figuring out, where am I? What brought me to this place? What are the things that I feel when I'm not doing well on a test? What are the things I'm feeling when I am doing well on a test? Basically, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? How are you talking to yourself? How are you thinking about that test? What kind of pressure are you putting on yourself that's inducing the anxiety and the stress and the panic that you think is because of steno, and it's not. It's a pattern that you've been doing your whole life. But that strategy call is not a hypnosis session. It's conversational hypnosis meant to strike some new neural pathways in your brain to get you to start to think that there might be a possible different way to look at everything. That's opening, that's grabbing the doorknob and turning it and realizing it's unlocked if I want to open it. So if somebody does a strategy call with me, and I always leave them with the thought that don't be surprised if you pass a test in the next 5 days. Don't be surprised. Now, that is a suggestion. It's also a hope and a wish and positive reinforcement on my part. But I would say probably 7 out of 10 times that's what happens. And with that renewed sense of, oh, I am in control of this, I can do this, I don't really see those people again. But then there's that 30% that think they've had a deep breakthrough hypnosis session and they turn around like, well, that didn't work. Well, no, it didn't work because you haven't changed the way you think, and you haven't followed through to change the habitual patterns of behavior that you've been doing that have kept you where you are. You may need something more, but you may mostly need to recognize that this isn't me giving you an Advil to get rid of your headache. And even an Advil won't work if you leave it in the bottle. You got to take it out and implement it. You got to use it. And I give you guys all kinds of tools here. Some of them are recognizable as tools. Some of them aren't, because I'm not going to come up and say, you have to do this, you have to do that. If you're not doing this, you're not going to get that. I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody is totally different, coming from a different background with different situations. Some people, believe it or not, you sitting down for this one, don't have a problem dropping. That's not the problem. Some people, are you ready for this one? Don't have chatter in their mind when they're testing or reporting. Wow. I mean, I'm still trying to unpack how can that happen? Because 90% of the people that I talk to, that's the problem. I drop and then I freak out and then my brain starts chattering and then I can't pass. And then once I realize I've failed, I write beautifully. Well, that's because it's not about your speed and it's not about your skill set. It's about something else happening. And in that strategy call, we can identify what it is that's holding you back. But frankly, if I'm not working with you guys like I was working with people back in 2019, then we're not going to get the kind of passes that I was getting. And I can't do that because, frankly, I'm a full-time working reporter. I'm also a full-time hypnosis trainer. And so full-time meaning, there's something going on all the time where I've got, people I'm mentoring and, watching sessions with and trying to get them to level up to the next level. Those are paying people. That's $75 an hour to mentor them to become a phenomenal hypnotherapist, to understand, to see the signs, the subtleties, to be able to immediately not have to do a 2-hour, 3-hour session, to be able to get right to the root of the problem within 90 minutes, 60 minutes, and have that person come away feeling like, oh my God, I feel and I'm thinking like I've always felt this way. It's so easy now. Why wasn't it easy before? Don't go there. Don't look for the why it was hard before. Let it go. Just go forward with your life. So, for those of you who think you got a deep dive, breakthrough, change my life, get me out of school in 6 weeks session, you didn't. You got a strategy call with a lot of bells and whistles and a lot of me planting some deep thoughts in there to get your neural pathways to expand. And then it's your job. I may not have made this clear enough. Organically, it should just happen. That's your job to keep that going. Not just to say, well, I took the damn Advil on Sunday and now it's Tuesday and I got a headache again. That didn't work. It didn't work. It works if you work it. It works if you work it. So I'm not taking that one on, especially since nobody's been paying me for it. And I have thank you for all the people who have donated, turned right around and got their pass and life is happy and or not, but they're in a place of thank you and they're donating to our scholarship program, which it has been meant to be building up so that the people who need that deep dive, break me through, get me out of being stuck, those that can't afford even a discounted rate, that they can still be able to get help. And then my calendar is going to be changing in the future so that I'm making my living as a working reporter, and also being able to work with clients, reporters, students, and just normal people, regular people out there who have problems and want to get past them. That it will help me free up the time to be able to work with those people. Because if I block off a day, 2 hours, I think it was it last Saturday? I think it was last Saturday. I had 4 strategy calls that day, and none of them were an hour. They were an hour and a half and 2 hours each. That was my Saturday. No money, no pay, some thank yous, 2 passes, made me happy. But I can't do that going forward. And I wish I could, but I just need you guys to know that if you had a session with me and it didn't work, you need to analyze why it didn't work, because you were given a whole lot of new information. And there were a lot of you that I crafted a 6-week program to help you with all the everything I could give you besides doing a 2-hour deep dive hypnosis session. Everything else I could give you in a 6 weeks of videos on why your brain works the way it does, what's holding you back, how to think differently, how to reframe things, how to have a routine for success every day, putting in 5-step protocol that'll take you, I don't know, a total of 20 minutes out of your every single day. And most people won't do it. It works if you work it. Everything works if you work it. I'm here for anybody that I can offer assistance to, that I can answer questions for. But please understand what you're getting exactly, so that you don't walk away and declare to the world, well, I had a session with Carrie and it didn't work. You didn't have a session with me. The people who've had a session with me know it. Talk to Kirsten Hammock. Talk to, yeah, I could give you a list. Kirsten, I love you. You changed the way I did therapy with people. You made me believe in what was possible. Brianna Jackson, think that was her name, in New Jersey. You helped me understand what was possible, that it was possible to help somebody who had been stuck in 180s for well in excess of a year to be out of school and working within 10 weeks. 10 weeks. We didn't change anything other than what her brain believed was possible. So think about what you need. Think about what you're willing to do. Think about what you're willing to commit to. And I am working on a new process of not deep dive regression hypnosis, but just basically knowing as much about all of you as I do. Being able to offer, even as a group, hypnosis that will make a huge difference in the way that you think, the way that you feel, and the way that you approach the next test. I'll be beta testing that on a couple of people for free, the ones that I know will follow through and do the work and help me figure out how to hone that process. I think I've got it pretty well down. I've got a very small group, you guys know who you are, who I'm meeting with weekly, and you'll be my guinea pigs in that next testing in California. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you for listening to me blabber on, and get out there and just do the work. Just do the work. It's what you're going to have to do every day as working court reporters. So get used to it now. Step up, be who you were meant to be, or step out of the way so the next person can. Love you guys. Talk to you later.